Pushing Back the Shadows presents a very mental Christmas. It's all the tips, all the tricks, and all the secrets that you need to get yourself through this Christmas while managing your mental health. Hello and welcome to day 5 of our very mental Christmas. Today we're going to be looking at family fandangos, but it's not the kind of thing that you think. It's got nothing to do with dancing. So, I'm Alex and Cheryl's here as well. We're going to look, as I say, at family and Christmas time. Now, Christmas time is something where all the family gets together, you know, from all across the country, or even if you're scattered around the world, people try and get together.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have the customary visit from grandparents. In my family, we get aunts and uncles, brothers, their partners. Everybody comes. Mm-hmm. So, do you think, and I'm putting you on the spot here, do you think it's very important to forewarn your family members if you think you're going to struggle this Christmas?
Yeah, it is. Realistically, it can have a huge impact on you, but without obviously in any way kind of shifting any kind of blames or anything like that, or making anybody feel guilty. Sometimes, because when you have mental health issues, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, it can affect how you behave in a family situation. So you could be snappish, you could be very withdrawn, you could be there's a whole range of different things that you can go through, and some of it is just being triggered by that exposure to extended family or even close family. I mean, I've said before, now, me and my sisters, I love them dearly, but sometimes they drive me fruity. And well, no, both of them can on occasion, but fruitier. Oh, yeah, thank
fruitier.
You. But it can be very, very difficult, and
it can.
Sometimes it's just talking to that, to your family, explaining, that things aren't great, or that you are struggling a little bit. One thing we've talked about, like you're saying, grandparents coming to visit, etc. You may not want to necessarily tell them, but say if you're at your parents and your grandparents are coming to visit, talk it through with your parents first and say, look, can you at least give grandma and granddad the heads up that I may need to disappear for a bit, or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, it's important, as we say, to forewarn them. So, those of you who are doing the competition throughout the week, just to let you know, the key word for today is forewarning. So you're going to want to make a note of that and send that to us in an email along with the rest of the keywords. Don't forget, that could be your chance to win one of the prizes that we are giving away. But so, looking at family, it's, I suppose to start with, it would be a good idea to share what happened last Christmas. I did kind of give them a little teaser yesterday, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
So last Christmas, and bearing in mind this was the first Christmas when my mental health kind of took a nosedive, and at least as far as diagnosis and that went as well, it was when it was all diagnosed. Christmas itself was okay, because Christmas Day was quite quiet. It was just me, Mum, Dad, nobody else, because Andrew and my brother and his wife spent it at his in-laws, and my youngest brother was with his girlfriend and her family, so it was just me, Mum and Dad. Oh, and Grandma and Grandad. Yeah, Grandma and Grandad were there too, Dad's parents.
Who you did tell me fell asleep, so it was still quite quiet.
Yeah, it was quite quiet.
Yeah.
Grandparents are good like that, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Well, that said, what with you and my parents as well, I think narcolepsy must be something in my life. But, no, it came closer to New Year when the rest of the family kind of descended. So both brothers, their partners, my aunt and my uncle, and their 2 little girls who are about 10 and 8, I believe. And it was one of those things, it just got very loud, very busy. I mean, my parents' house is massive. It can sleep all of those people. I mean, most people were upstairs. I was in the dining room on the futon. Futon. Thank you. Yeah, with my foot on the end of it as well. But it got so loud. I mean, one or two of my family members, without naming any names, are quite loud characters anyway.
Yeah.
And then when they get loud, other family members get louder to kind of, you know how it goes.
Yeah, it escalates.
Yeah. And especially when, because my dad wasn't well, he was struggling, so he spent a bit of it in bed. And my mum had the idea of, okay, we'll all go up and we'll play Pass the Parcel. Kind of Christmas Pass the Parcel up in around his bed. So that meant that some of us were stood in the bedroom, some of us were stood on the landing, because we just wouldn't all fit in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was just after we'd finished, I just sat myself on the edge of his bed. Everybody else was off downstairs, and he looks and he says, "Are you alright?" And I'm going, it is just so loud. And I was putting on a smile, I've talked about the mask before in some of the podcasts that we do, and I've talked about things like that, and I was just I was just putting everything in so that nobody would know that anything was wrong. And I just remember sitting there going, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's just so loud, there's just so much going on, and all I want to do is run away and hide.
Yeah.
Have my own nice little quiet corner of the house and not come out. And yeah, it was overwhelming. I was taking, I don't think I've ever been as helpful as I was then. Every opportunity to wash up, clear the table, take stuff out, make drinks, anything.
Yeah.
I was taking it so I could get myself out into the kitchen. And it reached a stage where it stopped even being little excuses. It was, no, I need to go and sit somewhere else for a minute. So I think I phoned you at one point.
Yeah, we had a few conversations, either via text or we actually had phone calls, because it was, you needed to get out. And
eventually it was just, I just went and sat on the landing. Everybody else was downstairs playing, is it Speak Up? I think it is, the game with the mouth guard, and oh yes, talking like this, that one, and I just couldn't do it. And I just hid. And that was the thing, I couldn't seem to bring myself to say anything. I mean, Dad had an inkling. Everybody else I couldn't really butt in long enough to say, I'm not doing so well. And so I hid, and it ended up that my New Year's Eve was spent shut in the dining room, not letting anybody else in, watching Star Wars The Force Awakens and talking to you.
Yeah.
To try and bring myself out of it. And yeah, part of it was the anxiety kind of working up, like, oh, this is so oppressive, I can't do this, it's very, just wanting to hide in on myself. Other parts of it were the depression, I just don't want to be involved in this, I want to hide, I want to be alone.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I locked myself away, and okay, I had those feelings of depression, those feelings of anxiety, but then coupled with that it was the feelings of guilt that you get, oh, I'm ruining this for everybody else, or the feelings of, well, I should be able to get through this because it's family time, I should be able to do this, and then also the, but people won't understand, what do we do, and so on.
Yeah.
And it's difficult.
It is, and I think that's part of the nastiest part of it, is that it's my family. I should be able to do this for them.
Yeah.
There is that expectation that, we can push ourselves through anything for our family. Sometimes we can, but sometimes we shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
There are times we just need to go, do you know what? We need to take 5.
Yeah. And I think if I'd done that a little earlier, maybe it wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah. Well, I can remember that time and the communication we had, and comparing the 2 days, Christmas Day and New Year's Eve, the conversations we'd had on Christmas Day were much more relaxed, much more, you were far more comfortable, and you were able to laugh and joke, and we were being quite silly by text, if I remember correctly, about things.
Oh yeah, probably.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's statue that looked, well, it wasn't Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it was a statue of a shepherd that looked like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But it was something that was quite amusing, and you'd sent me through that, and then you were sending me Christmas jokes, and it was, you were obviously much more relaxed.
Yeah.
And then you flip that to how you were on New Year's Eve.
And it was different kettle of fish.
It was completely different, and there was that throughout the conversation there was that element of, but I'm letting everybody down. I've shut myself away. You'd actually, I mean, if I remember correctly, you sent me a picture. You'd kind of barricaded the door, to try and stop anybody coming in, because you felt that somebody was going to try and come in and force you to come out. And I think, if I remember correctly, had you put the futon against the door, or
probably
there was something against the door blocking it, and it was just to stop anybody coming in.
Yeah.
And I remember being quite worried for you.
Sometimes how it works, though, amongst, I mean, people listening will no doubt have gone through similar situations, feeling they can't talk to their family.
Yeah.
But I guess sharing that story, it's looking at what I could have done differently.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a look, aren't we, at some of the tips that we've got for dealing with the family fandangos.
Yeah. If you're looking for a really good read, I highly recommend that you check out Pills and Blades by Alex Davis. It's one man's struggle against depression, anxiety and insomnia. With 5-star reviews on Amazon, Alex writes an incredibly open and honest account of how his mental health deteriorated, how it drove him to self-harm and ultimately how it cost him his job. Follow his story as he talks about turning that darkness from pain to purpose and how he's forged a new career. It's available on Kindle and in paperback. Visit the www.pushingbacktheshadows.com/books to get your copy.
When the family gets together, then figuring out how to cope with it can be quite difficult. I mean, I think when I got to that stage, it didn't really feel like I had any option but to shut myself away.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things that we can do, and it comes back to that key word that I mentioned earlier, forewarned.
Yeah.
And forewarned, what is it they say? Forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah.
I've only got 2 arms, but some people might have 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I've been playing too much Fallout.
Yeah.
But talking to them beforehand can be a lifesaver.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've said to you a couple of times, yeah, we'll go to the shops, we'll get what we need, but I'm not on a good day. It might be that we only get to shops A and B instead of C, D, E and F.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, okay, we'll see how far we can get. That's fine. If you need to go home, you go home. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
And it kind of works that way with family as well, doesn't it? You talk to them beforehand and you say, well, look, I'm not doing so well.
Yeah.
Might be that this happens or that happens. And they're usually more inclined to run with it.
Yeah. That's something that we've done within my family. I've got a member of my family who does really struggle. And last Christmas, he was finding it very, very difficult because, in total there was 12 of us in one living room. It was very loud. We'd got the little one running around being absolutely mental, and it was just insane. And he needed to retreat, so he sat with his back into the corner, and he went on his phone. He was just playing a little relaxation game. And because everybody in the family already knew what was going on with him, we'd already talked it through with him, he was able to be quite quiet and not have too many issues. What's also been quite nice with him is because I know what he's going through, and I know exactly what he's feeling, in the same way that I've supported you before. Now I was able to just sit quietly with him and keep him as calm as he could possibly get and not get into that spirally stage. And one thing that I've also found is because one of my nephews, he has quite severe behavioural difficulties, and he can't manage when it's loud and gets all too much. And those two seem to kind of like pair off now, and they actually do help each other through it. So they will sit and do something quietly together.
Yeah.
And they're still involved. They're still part of all the family activities, but they're able to do something that's a little bit special just for them. And it means they're still there, they're still part of it, but they're allowed that breathing room to try and get through it. I mean, if I give you the example from last Christmas, was that if I remember correctly, they kind of just went and they found a sofa cushion and they sat down. My nephew sat on his uncle's lap, they cuddled up, and I think they watched a little movie on a little portable DVD player. They both had headphones, and they were fine. Nobody was bothered, because it's like, that's what they need to do. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
And it's that having those coping things. I mean, I know with my brother-in-law, he does sometimes use like fidgety things, so like the magnety things or fidget spinners.
And recently we had that interview with Louise, and she talked about fidget spinners, fidget cubes. Yeah. Because she finds them really useful.
Yeah, and they do come in extremely useful in stressful situations.
Yeah.
I mean, on a sort of a more morbid note, but when I was at my dad's funeral, I made great use of the fidget spinner because it was that I'll scratch my hands to pieces, and I didn't want to do that. And again, when it was when we came out of the actual crematorium bit, where everybody's gathering around to look at the flowers, and they're all talking at each other, and there's so many people, and they're all trying to come up and, you know, be sympathetic and pass on their condolences. For me, that got way too much. And these are people I knew. They were friends, family, some of them distant, some of them, you know, people I didn't necessarily want to see massively.
Yeah.
But there was that element of, this is just too much. And what was quite nice was I found my brother-in-law. He was sat out on a bench looking at a little water fountain thing, and we just sat. We didn't even talk. We just sat next to each other. He'd got his fidget spinner, I'd got mine, and we were quiet.
Yeah.
And then after so long, we were talking. We actually started opening up.
I suppose.
It's sometimes it's having somebody that you can say, I'm not doing great, can I sit with you?
Yeah, I suppose that's kind of the opposite to how it went for me last Christmas, because after I'd spent so long kind of shut away, you know, people did keep coming in and saying, are you alright, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing that, do you want to join in, And eventually, and this is going to sound stupid, we got to a point where Mum came in and said, we're out of milk, do you want to come?
Yeah.
Because they've got a little Tesco extra just round the corner, and it was, you know, it was something stupid like a 5-minute walk with Mum there and back, just for a couple of pints of milk. But it was that little bit of fresh air. It was away from the noise. It was, it's by a fairly main road, but it was quiet. And I was able to say, well, no, I'm not doing well. And I couldn't say anything earlier, but this, that, and the other, you know, this is why. And then from then on, it was kind of, okay, well, do you know what? You stay in there for as long as you need. We'll leave you in there. And it worked. It did, even though we still had the girls, as I mentioned, 10 and 8, who do love their big cousins.
Yeah.
You know, a bit like the toddler does. You know, we're climbing frames. We're. I mean, when I went, because I went to stay with my aunt and uncle. Yeah, it was in the run up to.
It was in the run up to Christmas. It was about 2 weeks before.
Yeah, and I was on my hands and knees giving horsey rides.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. But even they were kind of kept quiet enough, not quiet enough, but kept away.
To give you that bit of space. And that's, sometimes it's just about expressing what you need.
Yeah, and explaining, because, okay, you don't necessarily know what you need, but sometimes you do know this is usually what happens. You can start to see, the same way people identify triggers, you can identify coping mechanisms.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know for me, because last New Year, you'd barricaded yourself. I hadn't barricaded myself, but I had kind of said to my parents, after a certain point, it was, you know what, I just need to go upstairs for a bit. I just need some quiet. And it was because with my family, because they can be so loud. And they really can. And I can be too when I could get going, thank you.
Not that you were the one we could hear the other end of the call centre.
Yeah.
You know, oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you
Take
very
care.
much. But, yeah, it was important for me to be able to go upstairs. I sat and we were talking by text, and I think, if I remember correctly, wasn't I watching Thor or something like that on the TV? And it was just, I'm away from the noise, I'm away from the crazy for a little bit. I think at some point my daughter had come up with me, because she was tired, and I'd got her fast asleep on the bed next to me. But those who wanted to really participate and be noisy and crazy, they were fine to do that. But then there was the other side of it. It was, if I needed to go and just take that time, I was able to go and take that time. And that in some respects can be the greatest gift you can give to somebody. If you're supporting someone, just help them with what they need to cope.
Yeah.
So, you could be that, like me, the crazy sister-in-law who's got a fidget spinner in her pocket as an emergency precaution. But the amount of times I've handed that, or you've done that with me, you've handed me your fidget spinner because you can see I'm going off on a tangent, and it does help. I mean, I've given mine to my nephew before now. I think the last time I had to do it was at my daughter's birthday breakfast, and there was loads of people there. It was all of my family, and then some nieces and nephews and aunts and uncles from the other side of the family. So in total there were like 20 odd people at this breakfast place, and of course it was also busy. And he got very, very stressed, and you could see he was getting very stressed, and he just sat there, fidget spinner for a good 20 minutes. But it got him through. It meant that they didn't kind of have to walk out and leave, and it certainly didn't trip off anything else with him. Because with him, if he gets too anxious, he actually becomes quite angry. Yeah. And that's awful, because he then gets so frustrated, because he almost gets to a point where it's not even verbal communication, it is just physical, and that's it. And that's hard. But
it is easier if they know in advance, if people are prepared.
If people are prepared. I mean, I don't leave the house really without stuff in my bag or in my pockets, and neither do you.
But even other people, friends and family who know, it's much easier if they're prepared. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you take, for example, I had an inkling last Christmas that you were going to struggle, and made you the grounding kit, which you got on Christmas Day. Yeah, you didn't use all of it, but
did use some of it, and it helped.
And it did help. And that's the thing, there's little things you can do for somebody that's struggling and help them through.
You're listening to A Very Mental Christmas, where we provide you with the best tips for getting you through this Christmas while managing your mental health. Don't forget, if you haven't already, you want to listen out for the key word in this episode and send that through to us so that you can have a chance of winning either a copy of Pills and Blades, Alex's 5-star autobiography, or a personalised Pushing Back the Shadows mug, or other great prizes, so don't miss out. So forewarning family members is important.
Yeah.
But you've also got to have the coping mechanisms to get through it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that me and Mum have come up with is a code word. Now, this may sound a bit funny or silly or whatever to some people, but it really, really works. Now, we went away for about a week, and it was me, Mum, my brother, my sister-in-law, my dad, and 2 of Mum's friends. Well, my mum's best friend and her husband. And if I went quiet, which I would, because this was interesting. Most meal times would turn into a bit of a theological debate, and it was when you've got 2 people who've got theology degrees, one person who's very kind of atheistic at the moment, and then my parents who are church ministers. It doesn't leave much room for the Mr. French and Linguistics over here to jump in and have his say.
No.
I mean, okay, I did kind of have my say, and it was on a different spin. It wasn't all, you know, the Bible says this, or this says this, or that says that. It was kind of more actually from my own experience, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But I'd sit there, and I'd sit there quietly, and Mum would keep looking. She'd go, "You all right, love? You're quiet." And it was just, oh my goodness, she's just done it again. People are looking at me. I can't cope with this. No, I'm not all right, but I can't flip and say because there are too many people around, and etc. And that kind of trips you off. So I turned round at one point because I said, you know, I need you to stop asking me this because it's not helping me. And we came up with, if she said, "Are you all right?" Because that was the thing. I'd say, yeah, I'm fine. And she wouldn't believe me, so she'd push, and she'd push, and she'd push.
Yeah, but we've done that as well.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
But nowadays, she says, "Are you alright?" I say, "Yep, just daydreaming." And she thinks, okay, no, he's not alright, but he's coping.
Yeah.
He's working through it, because he's daydreaming.
Yeah.
And that can be just a simple, yet quite effective coping mechanism.
Yeah.
A nice, subtle way of saying, well, no, I'm not so good. I mean, okay, you're reliant on both people actually remembering that keyword in the first place, but it's still an option. Yeah.
I mean, there is the other option that you've got there is, if it is, like we say at Christmas, and it is very, very, very loud, and you spot somebody of your family that you know they struggle. And I think this is something that I know you've done this sort of tactic with me. You don't ask them right in front of everybody, "Are you okay?"
No.
What you do is you get them away from the situation a little bit, and then don't ask them the question because they are going to lie. How many times have I come out with it? "I'm fine," and your immediate response is, "You're not. I can see you're not."
Well, my response is normally pull the other one. It's got bells on it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and it does depend how well you know that person, because they could be genuinely fine, but if you can usually tell when somebody is struggling, and that's something I know that you've done with me. Is that, you know, it's sort of like you've told the kids to go off and do something else for a minute, and then you kind of took me aside and gone, "I know you're not all right. What can we do?"
Yeah, but sometimes it's not even that, is it? I mean, this is a couple of days ago. You know, you being you were adamant you were fine, but I could tell you weren't. And this was, you were doing it was either your editor's pick or you were doing your scheduling for Twitter, and I could see you were just getting more and more worked up, because you're not the most technological of people, are you?
No,
and
but
you were just getting more and more worked up, until I kind of sat there and I went, well, look, just leave that for a minute. Let's go do some racing.
Yeah, it was the scheduling.
Yeah, because
that was the thing. It wasn't the scheduling that was the problem, but it was just one of those days.
But that was the thing. I don't think I mentioned anything about, "Are you okay?" It was just, "Nope, come on, we're going to take a break. We're going to do this." And okay, that's not always the best approach, you know, sitting there going, "Okay, we are going to do this now." But sometimes it works.
Yeah, and I think it does depend what that thing is. If you can think of something that you know that person likes to do, so for example on that occasion it was racing, you know I like to do the racing, even though I'm appallingly bad at it.
Yeah, I like to do the racing, you like to do the crashing.
Yes, I do an awful lot of that, but it's quite good fun. And it's
blowing your car up in a petrol station.
Yeah.
Sorry, my car, because I paid for them on the game.
Oh, did you know?
Lamborghinis and all that.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, but you recognise that I wasn't right. This is something I know that you've done for me, and I know that I've done it for you.
Yeah.
It's, you know, well, how about we do this for a little bit? Not necessarily we've got to do this. I think the one time we did it was, well, how about a game of Magic or something? And it's like,
not really. No.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, ooh, how about some racing? Because I've pulled it on you before now, and then we've ended up racing, and it can work, and it's one of those things that I know for both of us we end up laughing more often than not, because I usually hit a petrol station or got stuck on the freeway or something,
or even just hit a corner and got so stuck you can't get out of it, even though a simple little wiggle of the controller would get you moving again.
I landed on a roof. How do you get on a roof? That's all I'm saying.
But it works the other way as well, though, doesn't it? Because, well, I mean, what we're describing here is how you see that I'm not good, so you say, how about we do this, that or the other, or I see that you're not good, how about we do... But it can work the other way. I mean, when I was talking about Christmas earlier, one thing I did was, I knew Dad wasn't great. He was stuck in bed and he was hating it. Nothing worse. And I went and sat with him for a bit.
Yeah.
He was occupied enough. He didn't need me to come and sit with him.
But having somebody there.
I went... Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was... I need some space. You can call it selfish if you like. I need space. I need some quiet. Where will I get that? Oh, with Dad. So I went off and sat with Dad. And it can be, it doesn't have to be the person going, okay, let's do this. You're not good, let's do this. You're not good. It can be in that chat beforehand, because like we say, the forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah.
You can say, well, look, if I'm going down this route, get me to do this. If I'm going down that, get me to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've said to you before, if you can see that I'm just staring into space, not really doing anything, put a video game on.
Yeah.
Suggest something like that, and it'll keep me occupied. It'll not necessarily pull me out of it, but it'll pull me through it. And it can be... Part of it's going to be recognising the signs of where you're headed.
Yeah. And
putting in those kind of code words. So you can say, well, look, this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
But, sorry, I keep poking you with my pen here.
I know.
I can't talk without gesticulation, so I'm just poking. But then part of it can also be not just recognising the signs, but saying, well, this is what works for me, this is what I need, this could be what you have to do.
Yeah, and there is always that pressure at Christmas where people kind of go, oh, well, we've all got to jolly each other along. And no, you shouldn't be forced. And participate in what you can participate in. Yeah,
because otherwise, as my story from earlier will evidence, if you try and force yourself through it, you're just going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
I think if I'd said something sooner, and I think I said this earlier, if I'd said something sooner, it could have been that I'd put in something that would have let me participate in some of the things later on.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was just something as silly as, do you know what, actually, after we've done this, that and the other,
I might 10 minutes upstairs.
Yeah, or I might go and have a sleep or read a book, or just whatever it is that you need to regain that balance.
I mean, they say when you look at occupational health at work, one of the options they give is kind of scheduled breaks.
Yeah.
Even if you put something like that in, you say, okay, so after dinner I'm going to help with the washing up because it's nice and quiet in the kitchen, which I do believe I did.
Yeah.
Then, it's family games time. After so many games, I'm going to go and do this.
Yeah.
And it's putting in those self-care things in there.
Yeah.
And I think the point that I'm trying to make in this particular episode is you don't have to push yourself through it. It's important to look after yourself. But have that discussion. Talk to them, let them know what's going on. But at the same time, don't feel that you have to jump in.
No.
Do look after yourself a bit as well. That communication is quite key.
It is, I know, and it can be difficult to do, but it's really important that you do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just, they say like a dog's not just for Christmas. Well, communication with mental health isn't just for Christmas, and I'm not saying your mental health's like a dog, but it's not just for Christmas. It's something, we need that communication all year round.
We do.
If we don't communicate, how can we expect anybody to know?
Yeah. Well, it's like I explained to you not that long ago, there was a situation where I had one of my wonderful episodes where I'd gone into a panic attack spiral and I couldn't speak. And
because it does, doesn't it? You develop almost like a stutter, and it's almost like how many false starts can you get in one word?
Yeah, and it does get to the point where I'm almost struck dumb. I can't get a sentence out, and it's horrible. And something had set it off. I know what had set it off, but it was my poor mum was the one trying to deal with the aftermath of this, and she was like, what's the matter? And she didn't understand what was going on, but actually how she handled it was brilliant. Because I remember she kind of just went, "It's okay." She stood and she gave me a hug and she said, "Tell me when you're ready.
Yeah.
You'll get there." And because one of the things with that for me, when that happens, I get incredibly frustrated, which then makes it worse.
Yeah.
And it's that vicious cycle of, you know, I can't speak properly, so I get really anxious about it, so I really can't speak properly, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and then it just makes me feel horrendous.
Yeah.
And and it was just something as simple as she stood there, she gave me a hug and said, "You will tell me when you're ready, just let's be calm."
Yeah. But even then, there were other ways around it, aren't there? Because I never thought I'd say this, but even while you're having the speech problems, you're still cognitively, you're still fully functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought I'd say that.
Thanks.
But because I think before, I'm sure it was your son gave you your phone and you were able to type what you were trying to say, and you could type it, because all the processes are still there, it's just not
coming out. It was he did do that, and that was something actually that with my mum, I didn't type it out, but I wrote out what I was trying to say to her, and the moment I'd written it down, she was like, "Okay, no, I know why you're upset, I know what's going on, let's calm you down, let's see what we can do to help with this." And she was brilliant. I mean, she sat me in the chair. I think she got me a fluffy blanket, which I didn't necessarily need, but she knows I like that sort of thing, so she got me a fluffy blanket and a cup of tea. And the most important thing that she did, which some people would say, you know, it sounds like the worst thing to do, but she let me be. She just let me be quiet, let me sit in the chair and just be. She'd got my nephew, they were watching MasterChef Australia. They were quite happy doing that. She didn't try and push. It wasn't, you know, come and do this, come and do that, or, you know, let me hug you until it feels better. It was just, I'll leave you be.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all that's needed. I mean, that helped with me. But so, forewarn them, let them know what it is you need, because then they can be prepared in their own way.
Yeah.
They can be mindful of it, and then if something happens, they understand.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly the same principle of you're going to meet somebody and you say, "Okay, I'm leaving now, traffic is bad, so I might be late." And then if you don't turn up, if you're not there on time, they're not sitting there going, "Oh my goodness, what's happened, where are they?" They think, well, they did say they might be late.
Yeah.
Same principle. But then it's employing those coping mechanisms that we've got. It's letting them know what helps you, what might happen.
Yeah.
And making sure that it's all been planned in.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the end of our week, aren't we?
We are.
Very mental Christmas. So tomorrow we are going to be looking...
Well, it's the big one. It's Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Some people will be with other people. Some people will be on their own.
Yeah.
And Christmas Day has a whole boatload of its own stresses as well.
It does.
So tomorrow we will be looking at Christmas Day. We do hope that you'll join us. We'll have another keyword for you with the competition. And then after tomorrow, it's all wrapping up. So, just as today is forewarning, on day 7, we will be looking at an overview of the week. So we'll be wrapping it up with a nice Christmas bow. Even though yesterday we said about wrapping and how we can't wrap at all. Unless
Speak for yourself. I can rap.
Okay, unless you're Cheryl or Eminem or Jay-Z or whatever. Yeah, it's not funny. You can do that too. But so tomorrow we'll be looking at Christmas Day, and then the day after, if you've got tips or stories or whatever that you'd like us to share, we will be sharing those on the podcast itself. So whether it's stories of things that have happened and looking back you wish you'd known, or whether it's things like Cheryl's story earlier of, well, this family member did let them know, they knew what the situation was and so they got through it, or even if it's just tips and tricks that work for you, do let us know. alex.davis@pushingbacktheshadows.com is my email address, or cheryl.hembry@pushingbacktheshadows.com if you'd like to talk to Cheryl instead. Or you can tweet us at AlexDavisPBTS or at CherylPBTS, or you can go on our Facebook page and let us know there. But we'd love to share some of your stories, some of your coping mechanisms. If you want it to be anonymous, you can tell us and we will leave it anonymous. But we'd love to have you guys involved. And we will catch you later for our Facebook Live and also our live Twitter on Periscope. I couldn't remember what it was called, but we'll catch you then as well. So catch you guys later. You've been listening to A Very Mental Christmas presented by Pushing Back the Shadows. Don't forget to enter our competition. You can email us the correct keywords that are in the podcasts. And don't forget to stay tuned for more upcoming podcasts and also for our live videos. Just a reminder, those are 8 p.m. tonight on Facebook and 9 p.m. tonight on Twitter's Periscope. Hope to see you then.